everyone. Welcome to the Mark and Smark Connection podcast. I am your host, the Smark. Jesse Disbro with me. Not delayed at all by any sort of planes, just everything else, is Matt Cooper, the Mark.
That's right. My delays are purely not based upon airplanes.
No, they're just, more mundane and worldly things.
Like, yeah. I mean, like I had to cook dinner and take out the trash, and just go to our concert, all that other stuff.
It's an old
delayed
lady
us.
You had to help across the street, dressed as a Ghostbuster. Just small things.
An old lady dressed as a Ghostbuster. Oh, goodness gracious! But here we are on a Sunday night, bringing you this latest episode of the Mark and Smart Connection podcast.
Yeah, why don't you give us a buzz? Tell us on the Podbean site, on the Facebook site, on the Twitter, what day out of whether you'd like these to drop on Monday morning, whether you'd like these to drop on Sunday morning, which of those 2 days would be the best ones for you in your consumption of wrestling podcasts and all things wrestling. And we'll be able to we'll try to plan on putting our stuff out there at that time.
Nice. So we're asking the thousands in attendance and the millions watching at home.
Yes. Yes, listening at home in this case. But yeah, no, all of our lovely fans and my mom and your mom.
Yeah. So Ma, tell us when you want to hear this. All right.
So yeah, we got a podcast this week, and we're gonna go through our normal spiel here. It's not a super show. It's not a clip show. Hopefully you tuned in and listened to some of our pre-planning clip shows. Hopefully, maybe at some point, maybe at the end of the year, we'll have a yearly review kind of clip show, pull back some stuff. I may not be that ambitious, so it may just be a show like this one, where we start off with the marking out segment, where Matt talks about what made him mark out the most, followed by maybe a short Smark's remarks on what's happening in the WWE, with our big meaty topics of the week. And then we'll finish it all out with our hot tag, hot take, and finishing move. So, Matt, why don't you take us away with the first segment?
Yep, so I am the Mark, so that means I get to choose what made me mark out. Generally speaking, it was kind of a sleepy week. Well, not a sleepy week, but it was a weird week for the WWE. The thing that made me mark out, and I'm doing this again, and made me mark out and made me reverse mark out, was Bray Wyatt, the Fiend, won the Universal title. Yay! But he won the Universal title at Crown Jewel. I mean, that was like in the middle of the day on Halloween, on Thursday. I was at work. Mm-hmm. I couldn't watch it, Well,
the Brock Lesnar match was at the 3:00 start. I don't know how long the Crown Jewel pay-per-view went, but if it went 4 hours like any other, WWE pay-per-view these days, that would be around the time you'd be getting back, right? Unless you had some sort of thing to cover.
Well, I mean, part of the reason I wasn't going to watch it at all is because I, like many, and I feel like a lot of Marks as well, consider those Crown Jewel events to be non-canon. I don't expect any real big title changes. Like, sure, Shane McMahon can win Best Wrestler in the World. Braun Strowman can win the greatest Royal Rumble ever. But actual title changes? And a title change that we wanted happening at a pay-per-view that most of us aren't going to be watching, and by most of us I mean like the majority of WWE fans.
Well, tell
I'm
you
not
what,
knocking.
What's a good way to get people to watch it? To show that they would be willing to do a big title change on one of these shows. So they don't, maybe they don't care whether you watch it immediately, but if you come home and watch the rerun that starts right after, they probably don't mind.
You know what? I'm still not going to do that.
I think that you are among the majority still.
Yeah. I mean, there are many people who don't watch the Saudi Arabian events for many reasons. Jamal Khashoggi, which we've mentioned a couple of times, and there was some hubbub about the Fiend coming out with a severed head in light of how Jamal Khashoggi died. He was dismembered, and they more or less have allegedly been able to pin that on the Saudi prince.
Right.
But I'm not gonna watch it. It happens in the middle of the goddamn week, and it's outside of the regular canon of the WWE. I've decided this. I think the fans have decided this. So whenever I saw that the Fiend won the Universal title there, I was like, okay.
Well, it is a strange thing. We'll talk a little bit about that, what that means for the WWE when we talk about the big meaty business in the middle.
Okay. So then, Jesse, what do you have for your Smarks remarks?
Well, I have for our Smarks remarks. We're gonna gloss over this a little bit. There was some, NXT was just NXT this week. The big thing that came out of NXT was the very first women's War Games match was announced.
Oh, cool.
So we're going to have War Games, and it's going to be Team Rhea Ripley versus Team Shayna Baszler. So that's going to be interesting. Finn Balor looks like he's going to fight Johnny Gargano or something like that. That's where it looks like it's getting led up to for War Games, but nothing major coming out of there.
You think the Demon's going to come out?
No, I don't know. That's an interesting thing.
I bet he will, just to sort of like come out and defeat Johnny Wrestling and to sort of reestablish the Demon, which we haven't seen in a while. So
yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure whether the Demon, because this is bad guy Finn Balor. I think they might want to establish bad guy Finn Balor before they establish bad guy Demon.
Okay, so what's gonna come out? The Angel?
I didn't. No, that would be funny, be humorous. Oh! But no, I think
flushed out of the ring, nothing but like an Irish chorus or whatever, because Finn Balor's from there.
The idea was that. They wanted to try to build up Finn Balor the man so they wouldn't have to go to the Demon all the time. And for whatever reason, the push that came from that just kind of fizzled. So now I think they're just trying to build up Finn Balor the bad guy. Okay, and I think you can get that over a bit more before or without the Demon.
Yeah, and it might have shades of the Fiend right now, so maybe they're looking to retool that, which would be a shame because Finn Balor was rocking that Demon thing before the Fiend was there. Right. So,
but I've always kind of booked the Fiend to face the Demon at some point, and we'll get there. Speaking of,
God match right there, jeez.
Yeah, but speaking of, the Finn Balor had a very kayfabe be damned kind of speech promo during that NXT where he said he laid down for the new mask in the company and some other businessy terms.
A work shoot or whatever.
It's basically what Triple H has been trying to use for the last year or so. So a lot of people were like, yeah, that's probably Triple H writing directly for Finn Balor here. And it comes off to me as a little bit too much. Like, you can kind of get heat without, wink, wink, nod, nod. Vince McMahon made me lose to the Fiend.
I think that worked well in the case of like Kofi Kingston and Kofi Mania. Mm-hmm. I don't think it works everywhere. I don't think he just trot out like, ooh, the backstage sucks and this company's going to hell. I don't give a fuck. I don't think that always works.
Nah.
So
Nah.
Yeah, I'm with you there, brother.
And if you remember, which I'm sure you don't because you have the memory of a goldfish, when the Boston Hug Connection first won the women's tag team titles, they went on NXT and said, we will defend these against anyone on Raw, on Smackdown, on NXT, anyone. Well, many months after that, we finally got the first women's tag team title defense on NXT. The Kabuki Warriors did defend, and successfully defend their titles, but it's nice to see that these titles that were supposed to be across all these different brands were finally defended on this other brand, and it ended up being kind of the next step towards NXT being on the same footing as any other brand. And we saw that compounded on Smackdown, but we'll get to that because that's a whole big thing that requires a bit more time. So just your quick recap on WWE's Raw. Rusev got kicked in the dick.
That Rusev crap has been bothering me because I still think that this whole Lana is cheating on you with Bobby Lashley bit is just Vince McMahon trying to grind both of them down for having gotten themselves over. So it's like I'm going to humiliate Rusev by having him be cuckold on screen, which, by the way, when you hear that word, I don't mean it in the modern term that you might find on internet political boards. And then having Lana make out with somebody and do something she didn't want to do. So because it just seems sleazy to me. It doesn't seem interesting. I don't see a reason for it. I don't understand why Lana would have cheated on Rusev, and the accusation that he's a sex addict. Okay, what? You have to expand on that. What do they mean? Was she cheating on him? Was he cheating on her, or did he just want to bone all the time?
I think it was the bone all the time. I think that's where it went, and it was too much for her. So she kind of like ran away. I think that's kind of where it ended up being.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. My husband wants to do me all too much. Oh God, I'm gonna go to another man. I mean, that's. I mean, I'm sure there are reasons those are reasons that people have run off before, but it didn't really work on television.
No.
Right?
No, it didn't really work in that segment either. In the King's Court, a.k.a. the Divorce Court, as he called it.
And I mean, people have sabotaged relationships before by going and cheating on somebody as a way to get out. Mm-hmm. But I'm not really sure that's how this was written. I think this was just written as, Lana's cheating on you, Rusev. It's because you're a sex addict. So it bothers me.
All right. Yeah, I'm a little bothered by it too. I think that they should just tidily wrap this up in the build up to Survivor Series coming up and just kind of be done with it. I think that would be best for all parties involved. Get whoever they want over in the story, whether they want Bobby Lashley to actually get over as the heel in this, or Rusev become the baby face that we thought he might be able to become at some point by overcoming his addiction, or showing that he actually wasn't and it's all Lana's fault, or whatever we're gonna do. Mm-hmm. Whatever the gimmick is, however they work it out, I just hope they do it soon.
Yeah, I'm generally the same way, to be honest.
So, in the world of AEW Dynamite, we had the new Tag Team Champions crowned. The end of the tournament was this Wednesday.
Okay. And
it was the Lucha Bros versus SoCal Uncensored. Two of the top teams in the division. A lot of people expected the Young Bucks to maybe come away with this title, but they ended up bowing out in the first round, which was kind of refreshing, kind of nice. And we ended up getting the team that they had fought for a lot of this early AEW, the Lucha Bros, versus the other, the veterans, the very veteran members of SoCal Uncensored, fighting each other, and SoCal Uncensored won. So good for them. Yeah, and it's nice to see, Christopher Daniels. Let's see, who was the other member? Kazarian. Frankie Kazarian. Yeah, two guys who have paid a lot of dues, mostly in Impact Wrestling, but also like Ring of Honor. And all of them, they've been major players in the indies for a long, long time. So it's kind of nice to see them get the big push here in AEW. And Jon Moxley had a great promo too. And I think I saw a few people kind of contrast the Finn Balor to the Jon Moxley promos. And the Jon Moxley promo was very impassioned. He did kind of reference the suits and him not doing what they not just gonna do what they tell him to do, and they should just stay out of his way, kind of thing. So there's some good reviews on that particular promo. So if you didn't get to see it, it might be something to pick up and watch on the YouTube or wherever you can find it.
Those essentially two of the same beast, right? It's like screw the man. You have Jon Moxley and Finn Balor doing it. It's just whoever did it better, right?
Well, there's two different ways to go about it. Screw the man writing the script that makes me lose, and screw the man who's paying all the bills. He doesn't tell me what to do.
Screw the man who's writing the script. I imagine that was Jon Moxley.
No, that was the Finn Balor one. It wasn't like beating you over the head with it, but when he says that, he laid down for the newest mask, i.e., he was told to lose to the Fiend. Like it's not saying that the script told me that I should lose to the new hot thing, but you can read the lines are pretty clear to read between.
I mean, I imagine this doing that as this transition from the Raw and Smackdown. I used to say the main roster, but I'm not going to say that anymore because I think NXT is on par at this point.
Yeah, and I think we'll dive into that a little bit here after we dive into Crown Jewel and the kind of the fallout of it too.
It sounded like you said ground jewel, like somebody had taken the jewel and ground.
Well, it's grinding me down for sure.
I think it's grinding most of us down, but at any rate,
it really grinds my gears.
Yes, you know what grinds my gears? Ground jewel.
Yes, the ground jewel is one of my least favorite crowned things.
So you know what we've talked about it at this point. Might as well talk about it.
Yeah.
So
there's stuff happened at Crown Jewel. They opened with the WWE Championship match, the Lesnar versus Cain Velasquez match.
Oh boy, okay,
and
whatever.
It got some talk because it wasn't like a wrestling match. It was kind of a mostly scripted MMA match. It was interesting. And it was weird.
Okay. Well, I mean, that's not what wrestling audiences are used to. They're not used to people rolling around, sort of transitioning from holds and all that other stuff.
Or exchanging like punches and knee strikes in the corner when normally you'd get administered a 5 count.
Yeah, or you'd get like chops and then somebody would climb on the top rope and hit you in the face like 3 times. I mean, 10 times, however many.
Right.
So
it did end up with a legitimate MMA move, which has been used by Brock Lesnar, the Kimura lock, to finish, and he's used that before in the past to snake a victory. He's used it once or twice when things have been tough for him in the WWE, and he's also used it as a sign to establish dominance, breaking Triple H's arm and kayfabe breaking a whole bunch of other arms. I don't remember whether the Triple H broke it was real or a work or whatever. It may have just been a work to cover some sort of surgery, but anyway, he's done it for both reasons. This one was not the establishing dominance. This was the all right, MMA. All right, I found a hole. Boom.
Okay. I don't begrudge those kind of things in World Wrestling Entertainment, but it is not what we're used to. Mm-hmm. And I think that before we mention anything else about Crown Jewel, we should tip our hats a little bit.
Yeah, so we're gonna give 2 hat tips for Crown Jewel. We're gonna start with the most important one, which is a hat tip I'm gonna give a hat tip to 4 different parties here. Mm-hmm. First of all, we're gonna give the participants in the actual match the hat tips, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Go ahead.
Absolutely. Okay. So, assuming I know what you're talking about,
right?
Because I started this, I'm gonna tip my hat to Lacey Evans and Natalya for having the first ever women's wrestling match in Saudi Arabia, and I'm tipping my hat to an extent because great. I mean that was it, Jesse.
Oh, okay. You were like, okay, great, and I was like, well, yes, it's nice. It's a nice milestone in the progress for not just the Saudi Arabian, but like Saudi Arabia, but like for WWE in Saudi Arabia. So I'm giving a hat tip to WWE for pushing it and continuing to push it. When we first talked about like wrestling, WWE's move into Saudi Arabia and this 10-year contract, I
Yeah.
kind of set a timeline, and this is still just a little bit earlier than I had expected women's matches. I had expected women's matches to be part of this, for them to say, listen, it's part of this contract, it's part of what we're supposed to be doing here. I think the controversies and things like that might have given WWE a little more leverage to start pushing for this sort of thing earlier, but it's nice
Hmm.
to see it within this time frame now. And I think it might have been a little bit of a late ad, to like it was approved late in the process for Crown Jewel, and that's why we got to see Natalia versus Lacey Evans.
Hmm.
Obviously, it's a storyline that we've seen for a long time, but that just means that these two work very well together. So if you want to pull something together quickly, you need to find people who work well together. So that's one of the reasons why I thought it might have been there. Another reason why I thought that might have been it was because of their ring attire. I'm not sure whether it was because they wanted to get that, and if it's a short term thing, you can't get custom ring attire made. This is the second match in the Middle East, as it were, for
Hmm.
WWE. The Sasha Banks and then champion Alexa Bliss wrestled in the UAE, and they had custom full body suits made and performed in those.
Could you still see like their sort of feminine figure? Like,
Yeah, for Sasha Banks,
okay.
yes. Lexi Bliss was wearing one of her Twisted Bliss shirts, but she was wearing those regularly to WWE events in the States too.
Because I mean, it depends on the flavor of Islam you have in each
Mm,
country. Like the UAE might not be the same as Saudi Arabia,
right,
so they might have wanted a more drapey sort of like hide everything look.
right, and that's where I'm gonna give a little bit of a hat tip to the Saudis, because they were willing and able to work with the WWE to figure out the best way to present this, um, without it being a mockery or anything like that. Like, listen, this is I think this will go. That they think this will go over well. Just needs to be done like this. You need to
You know,
not
I
be in a bikini. If we want to, if something more loose fitting, maybe they said something more loose fitting would be best in this particular juncture. But
I will say this. It's. I mean, I think it's an important moment, and I think that it was important to Lacey Evans and Natalia and the WWE, no doubt.
mhm.
But at the same time, it's hard to swallow, um, along with the other controversies about Crown Jewel in Saudi Arabia, in particular, like Jamal Khashoggi and the fact that there were no other women's matches at all.
Well,
Um,
I mean, if I'm working under the assumption that this was a late ad anyway,
okay,
that they didn't really have anything else planned, and that they got clearance to like get one in, and
okay.
that this is kind of like, okay, there's a little bit of a trial match to see what it's to see how it goes over. Here are two people who are working, and they probably got thrown. I feel like they probably got thrown in late to this event. So I'm not gonna kill the WWE or Saudi Arabia for having just one women's match on the
Hmm.
card, because this is the first time it's happened. I'm not sure anybody would know how multiple women's matches would go over, but next time, the next WWE pay per view in Saudi Arabia, at least has to have one, should have at least two matches, possibly even a women's championship, probably women's championship matches at Crown Jewel, or whatever greatest Saudi Arabian super show available, or whatever it's called.
Well, yeah, they've established it at this point, so they got to do it.
Established. It went over fairly well, as far as I could tell. So there should be no major impediment to more women's matches at these. So good on them, and good on Mansoor, who is one of the local products. They had Saudi Arabian wrestlers in a Saudi Arabian performance center, and Mansoor has been the best one out of them. He won the most largest, bestest battle royal that was at the last event, and he actually picked up his first solo win over Cesaro. So thank you, Cesaro, for putting over hometown boy and making him look good, as Cesaro is generally want to do in these sort of matches. So it was kind of cool to see that too. This is the minor storyline. As you mentioned before, these shows are non-canon or at least half-canon. The one storyline that's kind of fed through all these shows so far is the growth of Mansoor. And from the announcement of him being in the class of signees and having a little bit of time on the mic to talk to people, all the way through here now to his singles win over Cesaro. It's for all the things I didn't care about Humberto Carrillo versus AJ Styles for the United States Championship. I didn't care about Braun Strowman versus Tyson Fury. I didn't care about Hogan versus Flair. I didn't care about none of that crap. But this Mansoor versus the World, basically the build up of Mansoor kind of piqued my interest. So
it does sound pretty good.
You know what sounds great? The Fiend winning the Universal title. Triggered.
Triggered in the next week. That makes me. It doesn't make me mad. It irritates the fuck out of me.
Well, so first of all, it doesn't really pay off for the no decision at Hell in a Cell. It shows this is here you go. Here's where we want the title to change. We don't want it to change at one of the big four. We don't want it to change on one of our pay-per-views here in the U.S. We want it to change on our big 10-year agreement here on the championship match, Falls Count Anywhere match that can't be stopped for any reason match.
Okay.
And they pulled the trigger on it. I'm happy that they pulled the trigger on it. You are too, I'm sure. And you're happy that he's the champion now.
Kind of. I mean, the problem I had was that I really don't think the Fiend needs to have a championship. I mean, people wanted him to have it, but I don't feel like that's appropriate for him. I don't think that fits the character. So
I agree. I don't disagree. I think that I think that most people hold the WWE champion, or in this case the Universal Championship, as the end-all be-all, the top. And the reason they wanted him to be the champion was because he'd done such great work, and they just wanted the character to be validated that way. And it's hard. There's no who would the Fiend have to wrestle and or defeat to be validated in the same way that he gets validated for winning the major title? Who on the roster right now would fulfill that for him?
Yeah, I mean, as far as character motivation goes, I don't see why he would be motivated in the slightest to win the championship. Right. You know?
Well, I mean, I think they started out doing this correctly, and maybe they kind of had to pump the brakes because people didn't accept it as well after Hell in a Cell. But I think that, from what I had seen, they wanted to maybe push towards the Fiend corrupting and or dismantling Seth, not and the title just kind of being a byproduct of that process, of that situation. But I think they tried to tell a little bit of that story during Hell in a Cell, but it just didn't come across correctly. And now they're trying to tell the rest of the story on a foreign country where none of the people in the U.S. cares.
Yeah, and that's gonna make for some sour grapes, at least in the U.S. anyway. And I mean, that's how I want to classify this. It's sour grapes. It's annoying more than anything. It's not a travesty.
Mm-hmm.
It shouldn't make you run and cancel your WWE membership. If you were gonna do that, you would have done it already.
Mm-hmm.
But it is super fucking annoying.
Right. And like I said, you're still happy for Bray Wyatt. You may not be excited about the way that he got the title or how the WWE will book it now that he has the title, but you're at least still happy for Bray Wyatt to have gotten back to the top,
I mean, I will separate it into this. I'm excited that Husky Harris, that Bray Wyatt, that what's the guy's name for real?
Not Brandel.
Not Brandel. I was about to call him Brandel.
Wyndham Rotunda.
Yes, I'm excited that Wyndham Rotunda has a title, and I'm happy for him, the performer. But as far as the way they handled it, I'm super duper mad. Well, not super duper mad, but super duper annoyed. And I mean, it feels like I can't take it as seriously because he didn't win it at a pay-per-view in the U.S. He won it at Crown Jewel, which
yeah, I get you. It does feel like it cheapens the moment a little.
Mm-hmm.
It's like if a tree falls in the woods and no one's there to hear it. If Bray Wyatt wins the title and no one's there to watch it, just the U.S. audience isn't there to watch it, does it really happen?
No, that doesn't really matter at that point, does it?
No, it doesn't matter. And it doesn't matter that the belt is red either, because Bray Wyatt was drafted to Smackdown.
And must we?
On Friday night, Brock Lesnar quit Smackdown so that he could hunt Rey Mysterio on Raw.
Hunt Rey Mysterio.
Rey Mysterio, the guy who sicked, I guess sicked is the right word. Cain Velasquez on him, who set Cain Velasquez against Brock Lesnar. Brock Lesnar's now coming to settle the score there.
What are you gonna do to Rey Mysterio, Brock Lesnar? Just to hurl him around a little bit.
I mean, this might be the old quintessential underdog story where Rey Mysterio somehow gets the better of Brock Lesnar. I know there's a lot of people who felt that Rey Mysterio's run with the title the last time he had it wasn't very fulfilling, and that he still would be a deserving champion if he gets the chance for it. I don't know. We'll see, but that's the angle they're taking. That's exactly what Paul Heyman said for his client Brock Lesnar on SmackDown. But yeah, that was not the only thing that kind of shifted the boats around, because the WWE superstars weren't coming back on boats. They were coming back on airplanes. And
airplanes that were stalled for one reason or the other.
Yes, one
tinfoil
reason or
hat
the other.
firmly on.
Tinfoil hat says that this is all kayfabe, and they all, Brock Lesnar made it back. Well, Brock Lesnar was the first match of the day at Saudi Arabia. That motherfucker was probably already on an airplane by the time the second match started.
Yeah, Brock Lesnar does not. He's not a dude to stick around.
No.
He comes in, he does his job, and he leaves.
Yep.
So
and a few more people made it back, but that's just because they didn't get on the charter flight that everybody probably pooled their money on, or WWE got a cheap ass ticket to put everybody back on.
Mm-hmm.
So what we ended up with was a SmackDown the day after with a much depleted roster. So,
yeah, as far as I understood, they went and dragged everybody out of NXT. And they were like, here's Adam Cole, baby.
It was an NXT takeover. An NXT invasion was how it was put. And Triple H led it. And apparently now they are pretty much getting equal footing. They are actually going to be inserted into the Survivor Series. the formula where it was red versus blue. Now it's red versus blue versus yellow, or red and blue versus yellow. We'll have to see.
I mean, assuming that wasn't the plan the entire time, imagine Triple H taking advantage of this opportunity to pimp the NXT brand. Mm-hmm. It's like, oh no, there's no wrestlers of SmackDown. Well, I got these NXT guys, Vince, and
yeah,
here you go.
No, I'm sure he's been waiting like a shark or I guess a tiger or a lion ready to pounce on whatever prey, unsuspecting prey. A hippo or an alligator would probably be better analogy.
Well, sharks don't really. Tigers, yeah, I don't know. Yeah, alligators just sort of float there, and then they eat whatever shows up.
Yeah, it shows up, and then they snatch it on down. That I think is the best analogy. I mean, yes. So, because of the fact that we only had one women's match in Saudi Arabia, the full slate of women were available. We got the women's championship match between Bayley and Nikki Cross. That went off. They put that on the Friday show. Of course.
Who won that, by the way? Who won that, by the way?
Bayley retained.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, I think
that is where that was going.
That was where that was going. There might have been more. There might still be more mileage to it. It's hard for a championship to change hands on a Friday Night Smackdown, especially when it was only booked like that day.
Yeah, well, I mean, Nikki Cross, I love her to death. I would like to see her as champion one day, but I don't feel like this was the moment, and I feel like she was just kind of being fed to Bayley as like a challenger.
Right.
So
that's kind of the women's division in the top and Raw and SmackDown. It's just like the champion and people being fed to them. There hasn't been like a great side feud in a while, and there hasn't been a real good true build up to like a big bad or somebody to emerge and take them on. It's basically been kind of a monster of the week.
That's a good observation. Okay.
Also, good old reliable Sami Zayn was available because...
Well, I mean, because his ass didn't go to Saudi Arabia.
No. He's morally against Saudi Arabia for many different reasons, not just the ones that we've mentioned, but because of general situations in the Middle East.
Sami Zayn is Syrian, right?
Yes. Okay. Hashtag Sammy for Syria. If you are interested in finding out more about his he's got a charity that he runs.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're interested to learn more about the charity and potentially some more about what Sammy thinks about the whole situation, you can look it up through that hashtag or through that information. But he was there, and good old reliable Sami Zayn put over Keith Lee and Matt Riddle. Matt Riddle's the bro guy, if you don't remember.
Yeah,
him.
No, I know who Matt Riddle is, but seriously, they had Sami Zayn come over and put over NXT talent.
Yep, yeah, he came out and he got the crap beat out of him by both of them. That was his job, and that was his job. Everybody there, they made NXT look super strong on this show. The first couple of segments.
Was happy about that.
No, yeah. I mean, the first couple of segments were mostly about SmackDown, but Shayna Baszler did crash the after part of the women's match, the women's championship match.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, so here's my ripping a tinfoil hat in half moment.
Mm-hmm.
I think that this whole NXT being injected as a real brand and into the Survivor Series bit was planned to happen.
I think it was, because Survivor Series is one of the big four, right?
Mm-hmm. And it's next month. It's technically this month, November. But I think they kind of pushed the timeline up because of that, or they made it deeper. So Shayna Baszler coming out and attacking Bayley might still have happened here on Friday. But Sami Zayn getting fed to Keith Lee and Matt Riddle may not have happened this Friday. And that might have been a filler to kind of put more NXT guys over. we probably wouldn't have seen Tommaso Ciampa face The Miz on Friday Night SmackDown.
Jesus Christ. Tommaso Ciampa versus The Miz. Who won that?
Tommaso Ciampa did. Every SmackDown wrestler lost to their NXT counterpart this week. But yeah, I don't know if I would ever have conjured that matchup.
Tommaso Ciampa versus The Miz.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, how can you even make those two mad at each other? They're in different universes right now.
Yeah, so. I know. It's some sort of TV and.
I'm certain that The Miz stepped on Tommaso Ciampa's beard last night, and he was like, "Whoa, settle this in the ring."
Well, no, there was no mat booking of this. No, The Miz was supposed to have Bray Wyatt on Miz TV, but Tommaso Ciampa came out instead, and they had words. Also, Fire and Desire lost to Rhea Ripley and Tegan Nox.
Of course.
Dakota Kai, Tegan Nox's team rehab teammate.
Team rehab?
Yeah, they both had major knee surgeries
and
I rehab together.
What kind of rehab are they talking about here? That's...
Yeah. But I think Dakota Kai, either kayfabe or for real, has had a little bit of an injury. So she was not at this particular event, but. They beat Fire and Desire, and there was more women who got run over. Like Bianca Belair attacked Carmella in the back, and fucking gorilla pressed her into some crates in the back, and Daniel Bryan then faced Adam Cole for the NXT Championship at the end of the night. And holy crap, people creamed their pants about that matchup.
Oh, goodness.
One person not creaming their pants was Sami Zayn, who tweeted after the show, "I probably should have wrestled Adam Cole for an hour."
Baby.
As opposed to getting beat up by
Tommaso Ciampa?
No, Lee and Bro Dude.
Yeah, and Matt Riddle.
So that was kind of thinly veiled kayfabe jab at everybody loving Daniel Bryan's appearance, and getting the short end of the stick and putting on.
And also, it seemed like wrestler bitching was sort of the scuttlebutt of Twitter this week, and I say bitching in the lightest sense because. People were trying to glue together what really happened in Saudi Arabia. Mm-hmm. Was it really an airplane problem?
They were there at their boards with all the pieces of yarn connecting to each other.
Yeah, so that picture of that dude from Always Sunny in Philadelphia, look, man.
Yep.
I mean, sure, maybe, but harder evidence, I'll believe it.
Right.
So
I think my half tinfoil hat here was that. Yes, there actually were real travel issues, and they did cause them to miss, or that maybe they'd get back in enough time. But you know what? We might as well pull the trigger on this fully and just make sure that we have 100% a show, rather than rushing people from Tampa, where their planes were landing, to Buffalo, New York. Where the show was. That is a haul. If they had made it there in time, it still would have been a bit of a haul to get to the show. So when they landed at they landed in the middle of the afternoon in Tampa.
Just not enough time to get there for the show.
No,
for that.
No, they might have been able to get there for the end of the show, and that's about it.
Oh yeah. I mean, I'm more willing to believe that bit, or maybe. Somebody on the plane said they liked Israel. They were like, no, you need to stay here. Whoa, yeah, no.
Well, listen, I'll tell you who the real winners of this whole kerfluffle were. That's the commentators, particularly Pat McAfee, who came out and was able to do commentary for a show. I think this is the first time that he's done actual commentary for a show that wasn't main event or something like that. And he came out in a sleeveless hoodie and jorts. to do commentary, which is his main attire. That's like his gimmick. So that was great. Also, Renee Young took like Sonya Deville foot flush on the face when Sonya Deville was thrown over the announce table.
Was she okay?
Yeah, she was okay. She tweeted, "I'll never do commentary again."
Sure.
Which obviously was tongue in cheek. But it's dangerous, you know. You got to be careful. You got to be ready. And I was very, very happy. I might have done this as our hot take, but I was very happy to see Tom Phillips be able to get behind the desk and do the main play-by-play again for the show, because Michael Cole was stuck in Saudi Arabia, stuck in a plane, or stuck waiting to get on a plane. Now, if you watch Twitter, you see all sorts of wrestlers hanging out, waiting to get on a plane. And some of that stuff, like, you can't script. Some of that stuff was like, yeah, these dudes are definitely waiting to get on the plane. So I don't think that it was like, there's no real kayfabe reason to have it happen. I think maybe they were ready to pull the trigger on this anyway, and we might have seen some run-ins from NXT people on Friday. But yeah, we weren't going to get Tommaso Ciampa versus The Miz. We weren't going to get Matt Riddle and Keith Lee destroying Sami Zayn. We might have gotten the Fire and Desire match lost, but we might have gotten the Adam Cole Daniel Bryan match. But listen, I don't think it was solely orchestrated to put over NXT.
Okay.
And that's what I have to say about that.
So, I guess that's a good part, or a good place to go to our hot take.
Yep, yeah, definitely.
So, the
hot take. Don't worry, I'll take care of it.
Yeah, so the hot tag. Wait, are you gonna explain it? Or
no, I think we'll just do every other word. Like, I'll do hot, and you'll say tag. You say hot. Tag. I say tag. Hot.
Tag.
Hot.
Tag.
Oh, that was terrible. All right, I'm going to do it. Just get out of my way.
It's okay.
All right, so here's our hot take, ladies and gentlemen, for those of you listening for the first time, or for those of you who may have just forgotten, or, lapsed fans. It's okay. We'll have you back. It's fine. Don't worry about it. This is the hot take. We get a little bit of time to say whatever the heck we want about wrestling, or things that include wrestlers or are tangentially related to wrestling. And the way we do this is we yell out hot take, and immediately cede the floor to whoever says such a thing. And
so, yeah.
That's your cue,
that would
Matt.
Be me. Hot take. So my hot take is short and sweet. It was Halloween last week. Halloween is my favorite time of year. It's a lot of wrestlers' favorite times of year because, wrestlers are nothing but theater types who like to go to the gym. So I suggest you hie yourself to WWE.com, find the slideshow of Halloween costumes, and check it out. Some of them are pretty good. There's Dana Brooke, oh how I love thee, in a Beetlejuice outfit. There's Nikki Cross in a Chucky outfit. There's Charlotte in a Harley Quinn outfit. And Andrade Cien Almas is next to her. Mr. Almas is next to her in a Joker outfit. So yeah, there's more than that. Go look. It's fantastic.
Hot take. See, that's how you're supposed to do it. You're supposed to jump right in and say hot take.
Hot take.
You've already hot tagged on the hot takes.
Shit. Okay.
You're out. You're out. That's it. You're lying on the side of the ring, powdering out, waiting for me to clean house here. And that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna clean house like the goddamn Washington Nationals did to the Houston Astros. Hey, who's on the sidelines? Who's powdering out? That's this guy over here. No, congrats, by the way, to the Washington Nationals. And, as a Mets fan, I was not super excited about it, but it is a nice underdog story. And the whole thing, I'll tell you what, they know how to book a match. There was the away team won every game in the World Series. So the underdog won every game. That's the baby face for all of us. And then Max Scherzer got the whole aloft the custom World Heavyweight Championship for the Washington Nationals in the parade. So Mad Max will be playing the role of best in the world champion. And that will put a bow on our talk of the WWE in baseball for 2019.
So shut the hell up about the WWE in baseball, Matt.
JJ,
by the way,
I get it.
I live in Houston.
Fan.
I'm an Astros fan. God damn it, we lost. But oh well. Hats off to the Washington Nationals. The first time is oh so sweet.
Mm-hmm. Very nice to them. Yep, 95 years since DC has had a baseball champion. Very nice on them. And DC native Batista, also very happy, tweeted out his congratulations.
Oh, I'm certain he did. So, at the end of the match, we typically have the finishing move. This is a finishing move I come up with based upon the topics of the day. And this week, what do you think my finishing move is this week, Jesse?
Is it toe tickle?
Nope, this one is called failure launch. So what's that move where they you put them up on your back and they look like they're being crucified, but they're not? I don't know.
It's like
that one.
Okay, yeah, that one.
Yeah. So you do that and then you just drop them. Oops, plane didn't launch. We're gonna be late for Smackdown.
So like a razor's edge kind of thing? Is that you just kind of like
that's what it is. It's a
razor's
edge.
Yeah,
yeah, it's a razor's edge. You just like drop them. It's a blap.
Very safe for the other wrestler. Yeah.
I'm sure that'll get us out of the indies.
Right. Yeah, it's right there. It's perfect. It's a spot fest. Boom. Plop. Sell it like a champ, motherfucker, and we'll get that 1, 2, 3. Run our way up to the top of the ramp before we get run out of the Fed for dropping somebody on their goddamn head. And listen to our podcast as we cut through past all the security. You can listen to our podcast at markandsmark.podbean.com, at Spotify, at iTunes, on Google Play Music, on YouTube. You can find us on Facebook.com/markandsmark, at markandsmark for Twitter and Instagram, and you can also find us on the Daily Smark website. If you check that website every day, brand new podcasts will be up there. So whether we're Saturday, Sunday, or Monday, it'll be up there ready for you to find and go. So for Matt Cooper, I am Jesse Disbro. Thank you for listening, and we will catch you next time.